Give me a wave if you can hear me. Thank you. Hey, it's Stacy Lauderbaugh here with Ashley Manke tonight. We're super excited to bring you this evening's huddle. And so we're going to get started. Just jump right in. I don't know if you guys were on the last call, but man, what an hour of awesome that was. I'm just saying. So Ash is going to start us off. I'm going to share my screen because we've got a lot of great information to share with you. And okay, it's telling me host disabled participant, Annika. Oh, now I'm the host. Okay, thank you. There we go.
Woo! Gonna get this party started. Yay!
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm really excited to be here with Stacy. We go way back, so it's really fun to do a training together. And this is one of my favorite topics, and awakening intrinsic motivation. I don't know about you, but when I first started Optavia and became a coach, I'm like, what the heck is intrinsic motivation? And what's really beautiful about this is where it all begins. And I want to start off with just something that Dr. A had said, and he said that willpower alone can only get us and be so powerful. We only have a certain amount of power with willpower. If we don't develop the skill power where we actually start practicing habits of a healthy mind, habits of healthy nutrition, healthy hydration, movement, motion, sleep, support systems, and surroundings, we have not developed the second level of power, which is the skill power through development of habits. Because just having drive or grit will only get us so far. And I love this because he goes on to say that to begin the awakening, we have to tap into our why. Process gets our coaches and clients to wake up and stop sleepwalking through life. And that's what this is all about. And what we're going to do tonight, Stacy and we're going to go through some amazing questions that can help us get to that why. Because as you know, and I know as clients, sometimes we run into obstacles. Sometimes we have, adversities come up and struggles. And so that's why we really need to tap into that intrinsic motivation. So I'm going to go ahead and let Stacy take the next part, and then I'll see you in a little bit.
We're just going to kind of go back and forth. We had some fun with this. So the biggest probably obstacle is the resistance and the fear of the people that we are sharing what we have to share with. And for the most part, people are scared of the unknown. They are scared of change. Oh my gosh, that one's huge. People are so scared of change, and they don't have the tools to get through those fears. And so what do they do? They resist. They put their hands up and they resist. And they're like, no, that's our first answer. So us helping them, our clients, get to their why, we have to kind of find out what they're afraid of. We have to find out what their doubts and reservations are. We need to be able and willing to help them with some things they may need to let go of. But we won't know any of those things until we get to, their fears. Now, it used to be back in the old days that we would be out there, and survival was just about protecting, ourselves and not getting eaten by something out there bigger than you. In today's society, things have changed quite a bit. The biggest thing that we try to survive is all about our ego. And it's about our identity and our beliefs and making sure that we're heard. I mean, we don't do it on purpose. I mean, I never considered myself to have a big ego, but I will say that when I started looking into this book, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I did. And maybe there is some room for improvement here. So what if I set some of these fears aside and tackle some of these things that I'm reading about? Well, I didn't have to do that all by myself. I got to do that with the help of some now very, very good friends. And that is part of I guess part of, for me, how it's easier to let go of my fears now, because at first it was an unknown, especially with coaching. My gosh, I chose to coach, and I went in head first, and but then I got there and I thought, uh-oh, I was scared. Did I bite off more than I could chew? And so, I resisted a little bit. Annika would say, let's get on a conference call. Oh, okay. I'm not sure when I'll have time. And then I got over myself, and I really just started embracing what she was trying to teach me. And for those of you that are new coaches, when I very first started this, and I was sitting here as a new coach, the words from the people who were there months before me were so welcome to my heart, because I knew that I was just following down a path with somebody else. And so that helped alleviate my fears quite a bit. So I literally asked myself, what would you do if you couldn't fail? And so basically that's saying, what would you do if you weren't scared to go out and try? And being scared and having fears, I mean, it's a real thing and it's okay. But if you're willing to link arms and face some of that stuff with us as coaches and really get into that skill set will pass so that you can teach people to do that. Now, never in a million years did I think I would be sitting here showing someone else how to do this, but here we are. And my words might not be perfect, but somebody might pick out something that is a little golden nugget and go, oh, yay, and that's just it. So the fear of going into the change and the unknown, embrace it. Just embrace it and go with us, because sorry, did I do the wrong one?
Nope.
Yes, no. And go with us, because we're all here together.
Thanks, Stacy. That's awesome. I think we all are faced with that subject at one point or another, or more than one time or another. So now I'm going to go into some of these other topics of really expanding your awareness, learning, and motivation. So what I want to talk to you really about is really being aware of where we would like to have balance in our businesses and as coaches. To really have that awareness, we'll be able to develop the skill set that we need to go into and support our clients or other coaches in a better way. So, when we're asking questions, having personal awareness for our clients to really know where they're at, where their life is either tipping out of balance, if they're being, the stress levels that are coming into their lives, what we're faced with on a day-to-day basis, financial stresses. Once we know exactly where they're at, and I love Dr. A's incredible knowledge as well. In element one, we're finding out where we're at, right? Where our current reality is. And that's what we need to ask ourselves as coaches and ask of our clients. And how exciting, just like Stacy said, if fear was no option, if fear or failure was no option, where would you be? Just like this question that I posed to you, what would you do if you were 10 times bolder? Just think about that, you guys. Just take a minute and think about, where would you be? What would we be doing differently every day? What would our daily action steps be? How would our clients show up differently if they were 10 times bolder? So these questions can be asked of ourselves and also our clients and our coaches, of course. But how wonderful to be able to tap into that intrinsic part and just having the courage to go forward and do things if they were bolder. And then I always love asking this question too: what kept you from following through on the commitment you made to yourself? Because as we look at how we were, getting to that root cause is so imperative. It is crucial on having them move forward, because those are the things that we can tap into and find the resources through our life book and our Habits of Health, a transformational system, right? If we can get to the root cause, then we know how to move forward to change those habits and to make them, habits that are healthier in moving forward. And then going back to the why, what makes you want this? So, that learning where they're at, learning where we want to go, where they want to end up. And that actually puts that intrinsic motivation within ourselves and our clients, because we can always bring that back. I loved our training tonight. All the trainings we've had were so incredibly in tune with, I know, intrinsic motivation. Even Jamil's training today for some of the FIBIC leadership and above was really amazing, about showing where he was until he tapped into his why, until he really tapped into that intrinsic motivation. Then within 3 months, his business just exploded. And so again, let's just focus on some of these questions, and I'm going to pass it back over to Stacy to go on to the next section.
All right. So perspectives have a lot to do with how we act and what we put out there, because not everybody sees things the same. I mean, take a husband and wife, for instance. Oh my gosh, Baron and I can have some of the best conversations because he sees things one way and I see things another. And sometimes by the end of that conversation, one of us has changed our perspective because we listened to the other person to see, how we could help them. So when you assume, and I won't tell you what my husband's funny antic on that is, but I'll text it later. It's kind of cute. But when you assume things of people, that's really setting yourself up for failure. You shouldn't assume. You should really consider every bit of whatever it is that you're trying to get across. Consider the different outlooks on things. My perspective when I first came to Optavia was a big fat nothing. I had heard of it, but I hadn't done any research on it. I had no idea that there were 4 components. All I knew is I saw the girl on the Facebook that I signed up under, all happy and bubbly, and I was like, I wanted some of what she had. And so my perspective, seeing what she was showing me, was, wow, that's cool. That's awesome. I need to check that out. But what I found when I considered all the aspects was something entirely different than I thought it was on my first conversation with her. So when we're just assuming what people feel, we're doing them a disservice, because we're not getting the whole picture, and we're not trying to look at the whole picture. We're making it about us. So if you want to clearly lead your clients, whether it's down the path to end up at coachhood, or just, somebody you're really helping stay on their program as a client, ask them the questions. So what isn't working well at the moment, and get their perspective on what's happening with their journey, because then you can help them with your perspective and possibly make a breakthrough with them. And ask, don't be afraid to ask what is and isn't working well, because I'm here to tell you right now, they will tell you on both regards what is and what is not working, which allows us to open our hearts to them and really dig in and see how we can serve them. So just the smallest other thing about perspectives is it's the point of a view, your consideration, and the true understanding of relative importance. So I also like to throw the structural tension in here too, because I didn't know what structural tension was when I started this. And I didn't know what structural tension was probably the first couple of months. And then I was blessed enough to get to go down to Jamil's with the leadership team in October. And I found out exactly what structural tension was. And I found that I like to live in structural tension. I am much more productive when I have something that I'm shooting for. And I know I want this goal, and I've got to do this to get to it. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I just want to share with you that not one perspective is the way it is. So be really willing to consider other perspectives and have a conversation about what it is that you're doing so that you come out on the right end of that. I hope that made sense.
It did. Thank you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your values? Values are a core belief in people. And so I feel it's very important that we tap into our own values, our own core beliefs, and also of our clients. When we find out what they're passionate about and how important those things are, and then also to ask them, what makes them feel the most alive? Because tapping into those values also taps into their dreaming and what could be possible. Possibilities is definitely what we are. We're hope dealers, right? We're there to lend belief in them until they can start believing in themselves. So this is a really key part of tapping into that portion of their why, is finding exactly who's inspirational in their lives. What did they find inspiring? So many people, myself included, I didn't know how to dream. I stopped dreaming a long time ago. I just wanted to make it to the next day. I couldn't even think ahead of time. And, thank you, Stacy, for talking about San Diego and the retreat, because that's when I started believing again and started really dreaming again. But you know what? Once you know their core values and what they're passionate about, then you can go in and you can ask them this question: what are you willing to endure to see your goal become a reality? Those values, that passion come to reality. So that will light the fire. So when it does become a little difficult, we can always go back to that. So back to you, Stacy.
Absolutely. And I can't agree with that more. I really, and I didn't know this, Ashley, I think I forgot that I could still dream. I was walking through my life thinking everything's fine, but it was far from fine. And even once I saw the potential and joined the coaching family here, I still didn't see it all the way until we were in San Diego. These people poured into us and just really awakened in me something that I forgot was even there. I mean, I used to dream, I used to want to do stuff. And then I guess I just resorted to living my life as a fat person, and that wasn't going away. And then once I started kind of, as Jamil says, chipping that clay away, I started discovering things about myself that were always there, but I forgot they were there. I hadn't seen them in a really long time. And it's funny because people will, say to me, oh my gosh, you're this or you're that. And I feel so different. And I feel like I act different. I feel like I talk different, but yet I'm still me, Stacy. I'm my same person at the core, but I feel like I've just am becoming a better version of myself. One that I didn't know was, waiting there to come out. And so now she's doing cartwheels down the street, and I'm pretty darn excited. And so imagining your future has come back to grace me. I couldn't be more excited. I have goals. My husband and I have some massive goals. And, as always, I point to the big one behind me. It's my trip to Italy. I put a couple pins on there this week because we're moving forward, going to plan that trip. That is my top of my bucket list. And I'm dreaming about the things that I'm going to do when I'm there. So you have to pick a goal for yourself that will inspire you. I want to go to Italy for a month. I want to go and be the best version of myself. I want to go buy a pair of cute Italian shoes and pants in a tiny little cute size that makes me feel good. And so for me, that's dreaming big. And that is sharing my goals with people. And so what I would like to see happen is being able to share with the world, look, this is something that anybody can do if they decide, figure out what your ideal outcome is. Who knows? Maybe it's the last call we just talked to. They bought a farm down south. They decided they were going to be rednecks and buy some work boots. And that was an ideal outcome for them. But do you think they just came up with it just on the fly? They did not. I can guarantee you they imagined it, they dreamed it, they set their goals for it, and they held it in their hearts until it came true, until they made it come true. Because the goal setting part of this is huge. If you are just in this by the seat of your pants, yeah, you'll get there a little bit, but you will not hit your big goals unless you lean into your coach, set a goal, and make that stuff come true by leaning in right here. I mean, y'all are right here tonight, so good for you. That's an excellent start, just to be here to lean in. Ash, I'm going to throw it.
Awesome. Okay. So we have all these amazing things, right? We have all of our dreams. We have our goals. We have all this stuff, right? So now what? How do we take action? I don't know, are any of you out there feeling a little overwhelmed, a little so much coming at you, or trying to balance work and coaching, or life and kids and whatever, right? So we actually have the power to do things right now. We can break it down into just income producing activities, right? That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur and having our own home-based businesses, is that we can take action on the things that will produce incomes for us and the outcomes that we want. But there needs to be some things in place, wouldn't you agree? First of all, we want to make sure that we have a commitment to follow through with our action activities that we do. I'm very intentional with my time. I don't have much time during my day, and so I have to really approach my planning and everything very intentionally. So some of these questions that I would like you to ask yourselves, and this can apply to clients as well, because they have commitments, they have actions, action steps that they'll take during the process of the program too. So first of all, what do you have the power to do right now? I categorize and prioritize my events. My power hour is definitely a rock in my calendar. All my coaching calls and leadership calls are all rocks in our calendar. And we learn about our rocks in the mason jar in our life book. So ask yourself what you can do right now. What's the one action you can take right now to begin making your wishes come true? Just like Stacy was talking about, setting that goal and setting that dream of going to Italy, and she's putting pins in her map already, and she's taking those action steps. When I make my calls, my check-in calls with my clients, and making sure that I'm doing my, asking people to explore coaching, those things I make sure that I do so I can get closer to having my dreams become a reality. I think it's really important that we anticipate what might go wrong, right? I think that most of us don't want to be blindsided, or we want to make sure, just like when we're doing our first launch, okay? When we're coaches, we're brand new coaches, we're posting our launch on Facebook, and okay, now what do I say? If they say this, what do I say, right? Or if I have someone that gives me an obstacle, how do I respond to them? If they have a negative thing to say. That's what's so great about our leadership. Lean into your leadership, everybody. They'll give you and help you set up a backup plan or responses, to some of these things that you may be, people are saying. But I think when it comes to developing our own action plan and our really knowing our why and going after that, life happens, COVID, pandemic, life, layoffs, everything happens, right? What makes it different for us, what makes it different for OptiV and being part of this amazing family, is that we live above the line, right? There's an amazing element that talks about this. everything is happening for us, and how we approach it and how we go forward and be committed to our goals and our action steps every day. Yeah. You know what? Sometimes we have to take a rest. Just don't quit. Sometimes we just have to take a step back and then move forward again. And that's what's so beautiful about our community, about our coaching community. I've never been a part of a more gracious, loving, kind, supportive community. And we're all here to help you do that. So make sure, don't go into, like we we always say to our coaches and our clients, human nature is to withdraw. Human nature is to step back, go quiet, retreat. Don't do that, right? I implore you not to do that. Lean in, lean in. And then what could be the first step you take today to move forward? I start my day off. I have my word for the year is intentional. And I start my day intentionally. And I take a step when I'm even beat down, or if we have those rough days when clients quit. Okay, clients are going to quit. Coaches are going to quit. Life's going to happen. But what helps us with our intrinsic motivation, our goals, our dreams, and wanting to live and provide a lineage for our families, or whatever your why is, ask yourself, okay, if I have to retreat just for a moment to catch my breath, what's the next step I can take today to move forward? Back to you,
That's
Stacy.
awesome. And, listen, really, what may get in the way? What's not going to get in the way? That's why we make the plans and, to get around. And, this company always says, embrace the obstacles. The obstacle is the way. And, it's so funny to me because that is the absolute truth. Listen, from the time you were a tiny baby learning to walk, you would stand up on 2 feet and fall down right on your butt. That's an obstacle. You couldn't walk. So what did you do? You put your brain into motion, even in the tiniest little baby that you were. So all of our lives, we have been embracing obstacles or avoiding obstacles or letting obstacles beat the heck out of you. So that part is up to us. And so what this book, this is, I love this book. I love it to pieces, and I've read every word of it, and some of it even more than that. And for me personally, all roads lead to element 4. And so for me, when I needed to embrace the obstacles, and when I needed to figure out how to get around the obstacles and what my plan was going to be, I had to start right here. And so when element 4 spoke to me, it screamed at me. If I'm being honest, it screamed at me. And I've read it probably 3 solid times, just because I soak up something more every time. And I attribute element 4 to why I have such a positive attitude currently, because it hit me. It embraced me, and it said, Stace, here it is. If this is something you ever wanted to know, it's right here. I couldn't not hear it. And so I do embrace the obstacles. I have zero problem when I'm being ghosted. I have zero problem if somebody says, oh yeah, I just need another month, because I, of all people, know that when the time is right, it's right. So some of the things in regard to obstacles are something you might just need to set them aside for a minute. Just set them there. You don't have to get rid of them. You don't have to throw anything out. You just need to set it there until you can figure out a better way to embrace it and move around it. Some of us, some obstacles are massive. Some obstacles are tiny, but we make them massive. And so, I've done that. Have you guys ever made a mountain out of a molehill? I certainly have, but I'm learning that I don't have to. I don't have to. That, mountain that I want to climb, I'm going to get a new pair of hiking boots and I'm going to climb up and over it, because I found the way. And the vehicle that you all are sitting in right here with me is the biggest obstacle crusher that I have ever met. And it has opened up a world for us. It has opened up something I wasn't looking for, didn't know I needed, but yet here we are. And so because I just kind of plopped myself right in the middle of this thing, I would be remiss not to grab a hold of every single little bit. And so I want to invite you to do that too. Grab a hold of what you have. Pick this book up every day. We're asking our clients to do that. We have to do it too. We can fake our way through anything we want for a little while, but until you literally embrace your obstacles and plan for what you want your goals to be, then we're just going to sit here and talk. So how can you break it down into bite-sized pieces? You can lean into your mentorship. And, you know, I can't sing enough praises about my coach. She has been wonderful, and she gives me her perspective on things, and she allows me my own perspective so that I'm able to figure out what I'm doing and what bite-sized pieces I'm going to take today. The first step in that is knowing your why. I'm just going to say that right up front. The first step that you need is to know your why. Why are you here? Because if you don't know that, you've got to go back to that and then come up to this. So I implore you, figure out your why, and that will exactly tell you what your first step is. I put the question on here, what's the first step? That's not the same for everybody. That is absolutely your personal, what's your first step? So know what your why is and take a big bite of it, and then let's get walking. And so I'm going to ask you all, and I would love you to put an answer in the chat for me. When are you going to do it? Are you going to start tomorrow? Are you going to start Saturday? When are you going to do it? I want to see just a couple of answers in there, just so I know you're hearing me. I want to know when you're going to take your bite-sized piece, when you're going to lean into your coach and say, this is what I want. Will you help me set some goals and a plan? Because that way we can awaken our own intrinsic motivation and keep it running. Again, I had no idea what intrinsic motivation is, but guess what? I have some, and so do all of you. And so tap into it the best way you can, because when yours is running, that's just going to flow. And this business has already become something I never dreamed of. And I'm at the tip of the iceberg, and all of you are too. We're all here for a reason. Yours is yours, mine is mine, and some of them are together. And so I'm thrilled that Annika asked Ashley and I to do this tonight. I got to read these chats. And I just want to tell you, thank you so much for your time, Ashley. And I really hope that we brought you some value tonight and gave you a little something to think about. So have a very good night, everybody. And thanks for joining us.
Good night. Thank you.